Let's read Zootopia Fact Check, where it's pretty obvious this story didn't take its own title's advice. Chapter 1. Summary. Jodee ignores Nick warning and is shoved into a fountain. Things continue from there, some good, some bad. Chapter management. Edit chapter. Delete chapter. Chapter 1, chapter text. Nick smiled as Jodee and him walked back to the police station after getting lunch at the local diner. Jodee looked up at him before asking, "Why are you smiling?" Nick answered, "If you keep walking on the rim of the fountains, you're going to fall in." Jodee laughed before replying, "You have been saying that ever since we meet." I can confirm that Nick has never once said that to Jodee since they met. Once again, this is Fact Check with JasonOfArgo. Suddenly someone yelled Gazelle tickets are now on sale at the ticket offices. Immediately a large mob ran towards the ticket offices. Everyone trying to be the first to the ticket office. So there was a lot of shoving and pushing. Nick felt someone shove him and he hit his jaw on the cement of the fountain. Jodee started to laugh before someone shoved another person into her and she took a quick dunk into the cold fountain water. After the crowd was gone, Nick got off the ground before checking and seeing his gum was bleeding. Jodee got out of the fountain before saying, "Now I have to go home and changed." Nick replied, "There is a heater in the empty office. We will just hang your clothes there until they are dry." Jodee asked, "How do you know there is a working heater in the empty office?" Nick answered, "I have taken a few naps in there." While it was slow, Jodee replied, "Fine, but you make sure no one comes in while I am changing." And that's it. That's the end of chapter 1. That was what? Like 2 minutes? 2 minutes of reading at most. Well, can't exactly just end it there, so I guess we're moving on to chapter 2. Aptly titled Mistake. Summary. While Jodee talks to the chief, a few officers have a chat with Nick. Chapter text. Jodee was greeted by officers as she walked by them. Most didn't notice her wet fur or clothes, which is odd, I suppose, since she's so short. You wouldn't really bother to look down, but, that's probably sounding a little prejudicial there. Yeah, check your height privilege. Nick said hi to a few officers, but none responded to his greetings, and he did not blame them for it. He understood their reluctance for now. Jodee said, "Nick, go take care of your lip while I talk to the chief." Nick replied, "Hopefully he has a case for us." Jodee laughed before entering the chief's office. Nick entered the bathroom and began to wash his face. Luckily, his lips have stopped bleeding. It was his gum last time. Whatever. 3 new cadets, a panda, a kangaroo, and a moose, followed Nick into the restroom. The panda and moose grabbed Nick's arms before the latter said, "What did you do to Officer Hoops?" Officer Hoops! Officer Hoops, roll out! We need your amazing hip powers. They're pelvic sorcery. Because, hula hoops, just forget it. Nick glared at the 2 cadets before saying, "She was pushed into the plaza fountain." The kangaroo quickly double-punched Nick in the stomach before asking, "Why did you push her into the fountain?" Nick answered, "I did not." The moose replied, "Don't lie," before grabbing a finger and breaking it. Nick howled before saying, "I am not lying." I can see why you tend to lose when it comes to the law, Nick. That's not exactly a watertight defense is all I'm saying. The panda, seeing that Nick Howell has brought in more officer, said, "We will be fair and give you a chance to defend yourself," before releasing Nick with the moose following suit. The kangaroo immediately punched Nick twice more in the stomach. Holy crap, they're not giving him a chance at all. The remaining officers cheered on the cadets. Nick could not avoid all 3 cadets. When he dodged the kangaroo, the panda would grab him and slam him to the floor, or the moose would kick him. Suddenly, Chief Bogo yelled, "What in the name of brutality is going on?" Panda answered, "Trying to teach the con man not to push an officer into the fountain." Because that's obviously the worst thing that can happen to you on the police force. Chief Bogo replied, "Officer Hops already told me what happened. and although I should not have to be telling you what happened, but I am going to... Nick realized that the officers were all preoccupied with what the chief was telling him. Them. Decided it was time for him to get out of there. Actions. No, seriously, there's just the word actions at the end of the chapter. I'm not sure where that came from. How long have I been going? Only about 5-6 minutes? Yeah, I can go on a little more. This video's not going to be monetized anyway. Yeah, bad joke. Chapter 3. Nick leaves. Jodee steams chapter text. What? Nick grabbed his phone and carefully made it out of police headquarters and started for a secret holdup he had not told Jodee about. She knew about his apartment and wanted some time by himself. She knew about the apartment, not the secret holdup. Okay. With some trouble, he finally made it his hideaway. Which it already was. He turned his phone off before he slowly made his way to his bathroom to check his injuries. He flinched as he took a quick diagnosis of his injuries. 3 bruised and 1 possible cracked rib. 2 broken fingers he had reset himself and bandaged together, plus a lot of area that were going to be sore tomorrow and would turn black and blue before long. He figured as far as getting beaten up, he had gotten worse. So he figured a hot soak in the tub before taking a couple of aspirins and going to bed. Jodee sat in the Chief Bogo's office and wondering what the commotion was. After what seemed like an eternity, the door opened, and in walked the cadets with Chief Bogo behind them. Jodee asked, "What is going on?" Chief Bogo answered, "These recruit..." You know, I really gotta do a... Can I actually do an Idris Elba voice? Maybe. "These recruit thought Nick had hurt you and No, that's terrible. These recruit thought Nick had hurt you and decided on their own to make him pay for hurting you." That's even worse. Jodee exclaimed, "Nick may do many things, but he would never harm me on purpose." Chief Bogo replied, "I know from his records that he did everything he could to prevent individuals from being hurt physically, but financially was another matter." Jodee asked, "May I have time off to make sure he was not too seriously hurt?" Chief Bogo answered, "Even though I am not the happiest person to have him on the force, he has been extremely helpful in helping solve cases, although I wish he would quit antagonizing others. But I have already sent 2 officers to his home with orders that he be taken to the hospital to get totally checked out." Jodee sighed before saying, "I don't think he will be there. Although he never told me, I believe he has a hideout and would head there." I'm gonna stop questioning how she knows things that she doesn't know. Chief Bogo replied, "Just like his mentor. You do know that Nick purposely makes himself look older?" Look, Jodee, totally taken off guard, that's exactly how I feel, asked, "What do you mean?" Chief Bogo smiled before asking, "Have you ever noticed things about him that an older individual would not do? Like, I don't know, run around? Not putter?" Jodee sat back before answering, "He does seems to like to take a lot of selfie. He also seems to have a recklessness about him. He's a rebel. That's what draws me to him." Chief Bogo replied, "Although he looks older, he is believed to be younger." Jodee asked, "How old do you think he is?" Chief Bogo answered, "No one is positive about his age, even his few contacts and fewer friends." The door opened, and in walked Officer Clawhauser, who handed the chief a note before leaving. Chief Bogo read the note before saying, "Mayor Lionheart will be here with the press to talk to you in about an hour. When that is over, you can search for Nick. The cadets will help you." Jodee replied, "Nick will not be welcoming them. I rather go by myself." Chief Bogo said, "If you don't want to take a cadet, then take someone who can watch your back. Now make yourself presentable for the capital P press. Do not let the capital P press or mayor know about this incident. You then go look for Nick." Jodee replied, "Yes, sir." Before leaving the office, Chapter 4, and thank goodness it's a short one because it's all I can take. Chapter 4, Jodee Decision. Summary. Jodee has to choose an officer to go with her to look for Nick. Notes. I am just going to take a guess on some of the minor characters' name. Sorry for the short chapter. Chapter text. Jodee was grateful the press conference was over, but now she had to decide who would help her search for Nick. A tough decision. Chief Bogo came out of his office before saying, "Everyone to the briefing room. Now!" Officer Hops wondered what the chief wanted to talk to everyone before she realized what was going to happen. Chief Bogo waited until everyone was seated before saying, "I am disappointed in all of you. The cadets for their bad judgment and the older officer for not putting a stop to it. If Nick was guilty of a crime, that bathroom incident would have got him off in a possible lawsuit for police brutality. Now I am sending Officer Hops to search for him and see how bad he is hurt. Now I don't believe he is going to allow Officer Hops to take him to the hospital to get checkout. So one of you is going to be going with Office Hops and make sure that Nick goes to the hospital and get checked out by a professional. Now Officer Now Officer Hops, with a capital P, please choose someone to go with you." Jodee looked at the officers. None seemed to desire to go with her, before saying, "Chief, I think it would be best if I go alone." Chief Bogo replied, "Choose someone, or I will choose two to go with you." So how is that a punishment? Choose one person, or I will make you take two. Jodee looked at the officer. Which one? Jodee looked at the officer before asking, "Does anyone want to volunteer to go with me to search for Nick?" Officer Theodore Coldfront, Polar Bear, raised his hand before saying, "I would like the honor in helping you find Nick." Chief Bogo nodded before saying, "You have your partner. Everyone else is to keep an eye out for Nick, and if you see him, call it in." Jodee looked up at Officer Coldfront before saying, "Officer Coldfront, I don't understand why you're volunteering to help search for Nick." "Call me Theo," replied Theo, before adding, "Nick is trying to change and I admire him for it. It is not easy to go from con man to cop." Jodee said, "I don't think my car will hold you." Theo smiled before replying, "That is why we are taking mine." Oh boy. How long is the next one? Goodness gracious me. There's 126 chapters. And since it was just updated a few days ago, it's still going. I don't know how much longer I can do this. Whew. Goodness. Well, if you guys enjoyed that, be sure to hit that like button. But do a fact check to make sure it is indeed the like button, just in case you missed. We don't want things to go wrong and for people to start falling into the fountain of dislike. Anyway, that was my first Let's Read in a long time. I kind of wish I had done something a bit higher quality now, but hopefully this got a bit of a chuckle out of you. I know it did me. If you would like me to continue reading these things, go ahead and let me know down in the comments. And once again, thank you all for 100 subscribers. It's a milestone I never thought I would reach, and I've had a smile on my face about it all day. I would have had these videos out sooner, but wouldn't you know it, computer troubles and some sort of strange rendering problem with all my videos has prevented me from getting them out in a timely fashion. Regardless, I would like to extend my heartfelt thanks to all of my viewers, watchers, listeners, and subscribers. I am, and will remain, your captain. See you all in the next video. Bye-bye.